everyone, my name is April and I'm here for part 2 of your Eco City project. First we did our Eco House projects and now we're going to work on our Eco Cities. So what we're going to do to start off is a walk, kind of similar to how we did an in-house walk or outdoor walk in our homes. Our next goal is to do a neighborhood walk. And while you're on this walk, I want you to pay really close attention to your surroundings. Now, what this is called it's called a psychogeographic walk. And this is a little bit different than how we walk normally. So what a psychogeographic walk is a walk that you go on where you really pay close attention to your emotional response to your surroundings. Now, different things that we see are going to make us feel different ways. And sometimes we may not always pay attention to this, but for this walk and for this project, it's going to be really important to do that. So I'm going to kind of go through what kind of walk and what are the things that you can think about while you're walking. And if you can't go for a walk, I'm going to walk you through a memory walk, okay? So first things first, if you're able to go on this walk, I want you to really pay attention to the things that you see. This can be a walk that you've taken before, and you might actually learn to see things in a different way. So while you're walking, if you see something that you're really drawn to, I want you to write it down on a piece of paper or draw a picture of what you see. And when you look at this thing or surroundings that you're looking at, so for example, you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you see a park and you see a playground and it's something that really excites you. I want you to think about why it excites you and how you use that in your life and why that's important, okay? So that's like just one simple example. Another example is maybe some things you might see on your walk you won't like, and that's okay too. So on my walk that I went on, maybe some of the things I didn't like seeing or that made me feel a different way other than excitement was maybe seeing garbage on the ground, things that have been left behind and not disposed of properly, or seeing empty buildings that aren't really doing anything. They're not active, people aren't using them, and that makes me think, like, what was this building? Why is it not being used anymore? And how could we use that space in a different way? Okay? So while you're walking, I want you to really think about the things that capture your eye. Okay? And when you write them down or draw them, you can do both and you can write your emotional response. This makes me happy because, this makes me curious because, or sometimes something might make you angry, okay? It can be anything. And I'll get more into some of the examples later. So at this moment, what you can do is you can pause this video and you can go for your walk. And if you aren't able to go for a walk right now, I'm going to walk you through a guided memory walk. So, what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes, okay? And I want you to think about your way to school. Now, we go to school every day, and even though we're at home right now, we might still be able to remember our routine. So maybe you get up, you walk outside the door, you may be walking to school, or maybe you're in the car, and I want you to think about all the things that you see. What do you remember? Is there a sign that you normally pass by? Is there a tree that you normally see? Or maybe somebody's garden that you sometimes take a moment to look at? Anything. What are the things that you see? What is a part of your routine and your route that you take to school? And while you're closing your eyes and thinking about these things, if something pops into your mind where you go, oh, I remember seeing that. I always see that on my way to school. want you to open your eyes and I want you to draw and write about it and think about how that makes you feel, okay? And then you can close your eyes again and you can continue your journey through your memory. And you can slowly go back and forth from writing down or drawing things that you remember while you're doing your memory walk, or and then you can go back to closing your eyes and start imagining and continuing your way. Okay? So some of the things that I might think about while I'm on my way to work or school is I remember seeing this one beautiful blue building and nobody's using it. And it's just there, and it has like a white top, and it has blue paint along the side, and there's plants that are growing out of it, very wild-like, and it makes me think, like, how long has that building been there for? Why is nobody using it? And I would be able to draw a picture of it, remembering all the little details, because I'm really taking the time to take in my surroundings. Sometimes that can be hard, okay? So you can pause the video and you can continue on your walk or your memory walk. And then the next part, we're going to talk about what our next step is. Okay, so now that we've gone on our walk or we've taken our memory walk and we've thought about the things that we see, we've thought about how those things make us feel, and maybe some things that we wish were there that aren't there actually came up. And we're gonna really think about that now, okay? So the goal of this project is to design your own eco-friendly city, okay? Now, what you can do is you can redesign your own city or your neighborhood that you've experienced on your walk, or you can completely come up with a brand new city that doesn't exist yet, something that is your own. It can be your very own city. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about what are the things that you would need in that city to benefit yourself, your health, and the environment. Those three things you really need to think about. What are the things that would be most important to have in a city that can benefit ourselves, our health, and our environment? Okay? And you can think about how that relates to some of the things that you've seen on your walks. So, before we start building our eco-friendly cities, what I want you to do is to draw a map or a blueprint of the city that you would like to create, okay? So all you need is a piece of paper and a pencil. You can also use markers, crayons, anything that you can use to draw. And you can take a piece of paper and you can start to draw out the kind of city that you would want to build. And think about all the things you want to include. And while you're drawing, I want you to look at your drawings of the things that maybe you've seen on your walk or on your memory walk, and how you can reimagine those things, okay? So for example, if you did see a building that's not being used, what would you want it to be? What do you need in your city? What gets you excited? What makes you feel good? And how can you make that building also benefit the environment, okay? And you can draw these things down on a piece of paper. So one more thing before I show you my map and my blueprint of my city is that the goal is to also think about different green technologies that we can use for our cities, okay? So some examples of green technologies that we can use are, you can try to guess before I say, okay? So think about it. Okay, I'm going to tell you now. So some examples of green technologies that we can use are solar panels, which uses the sun's energy to produce light or other types of energy that we use in our daily life. Instead of just using electricity, we can produce electricity from the sun. Or we can have windmills, which uses the wind to create energy. Some other eco-friendly technologies might be different things like, you can even create them if you want, but some things are like self-watering gardens. So there are buildings that collect rainwater on the roofs, and then they use that rainwater as a way to water their gardens. And sometimes those buildings will even use that rainwater to go into the bathroom, and it will use the water to flush the toilets. So instead of taking clean water all of the time, we're using the rainwater that falls from the roof instead of brand new clean water. So we're being really aware of how we use the water in our buildings and in our cities. So those are just some examples of green technologies you can use. There are some that we know of already, but there are some that you can just create. There are some really fun and exciting green technologies that I didn't even know existed that people just kind of think of and then they make them happen. So if you have an idea for a type of green technology that hasn't even been thought of yet, I want you to think about what that can be and include it in your city model. Okay? So for example, a really fun green technology that I didn't know of that I just learned of recently is solar panel fabric. So there's actually a type of fabric that's used on tents or different types of structures that are outdoors that absorbs the sun's rays to produce energy inside of that structure. And it's a fabric. It bends, it's soft, it looks like a blanket, but it actually uses the sun's energy, which I think is amazing. So you can have really fun with thinking of different green technologies that maybe you're thinking of on your own and that you don't even know yet. Okay? So, while thinking about all of that, I know that's a lot, but you can take your time. If you need to pause the video and really sit and reflect and think about all these things, you can do that now. If you're ready to move to the next step is to draw your map. So it can be very, very simple, just to get your ideas out. Now this is my map that I drew. Now I thought of some of the things that I really wanted to include, so I drew them down here. Now for me, something that's really important is I love having some sort of source of water in my city. I like being close to the water. I think it's something that really benefits my well-being. I like walking by the water, and I also like seeing the different types of ecosystems and life that lives in the water. So I put water right in the middle of my city. And this is a city that I'm completely coming up with on my own. I don't even know if the city exists. It's okay. So I put water right in the middle. That's what the little boat is for. Okay? Then I also wanted to have a park around my water. I love going for walks. I love being outdoors, and I like being a part of that natural environment and having that green space. I think it's really important. And having lots of trees that produce nice, new, fresh oxygen for us. Lots and lots of trees. So I drew trees, and that's what I would want in my city. Okay? I also have a community garden. I have a farm. In some cities, there's actually farms right in the city. It might sound weird. Usually you have to drive really far to see a farm or see cows, but some cities have those farms right in the town, okay? So I've been to a city like that before, so I decided I really just want to be close to that. And, okay, so then these are my houses. These are where I'm going to plan to put my homes. And each home has its own garden. I thought it would be really nice to each have our own vegetable garden that we can go to in our own yard, or even have a community garden that we can go to. So for me, instead of having a grocery store where you go inside a building to get food, we in this city actually just go right to a garden. We don't even go inside of a building, which I thought would be kind of fun. I think that's like a new way of thinking of how we can use the landscape and grow food for us without having to be inside of a building, maybe. I don't know. I think it might work. It's just an idea, right? Another really fun part of this city that I designed is that it's a biking city. That means no cars. My city is just a city that uses bikes or you walk for transportation. And that's it. No cars. I was thinking about, the cars produce a lot of carbon that doesn't benefit our air, and we don't want to breathe that in. So I thought, what better way to have a way to get around than having a bike city. So these paths that you see that are coming out to each section in my city are bike paths, and then this is like a little bike lot that I created. So instead of having a parking lot, it's a bike lot. Okay, and that's how we get around. It's just by bikes. Now you can see that I just drew a simple drawing. It can be fast, you can be really detailed, and you can have a lot of fun with thinking about how you want to design it. It can have a fun, cool layout. Really, the sky is the limit. You can do anything. You just, as long as you have those three things, okay? So something that benefits you, something that benefits your well-being, and your environment, okay? So now you can press pause to finish doing your drawings of your maps, your blueprints of the things you want to include in your city. And then you can come back and we're going to start the next part, okay? Okay, so now that we've drawn our blueprints for our city, what I want you to do now is I want you to, just like we did for Eco-Friendly Home Project, is I want you to find recyclable materials that we can use to build this. So what better way to create an eco-friendly city by then making it from recycled materials. So later on, when you don't want your eco-friendly city model anymore, you can just put it in the recycle and we can reuse those materials for something else. So these recyclable materials that you can find can be anything. I have a Kleenex box. You can even use a toilet paper roll. I have a container from like takeout one night. You can do that. I use a yogurt container, cereal box, anything. So anything that you would find in your recycle bin. Okay? And then what I want you to do is I want you to start creating the different things that you drew on your map. Okay? So you want to think about the shapes of the buildings that you're going to make. Are they going to be rectangular, or do you want them to be round or have a really interesting shape? Like you could even build a building in the shape of a flower if you want. Anything. You're the artist and designer of your eco-friendly city. So like I said, the sky's the limit, as long as you have those three things. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you an example of an eco-friendly city that I made, just to give you an idea of the different things that maybe you can include, or the different things that you can make by using recyclable materials that you may have found. Okay? So what I did is I found an old pizza box, and I used that as my base for my city, which you can see here. Okay? It's really big. It doesn't matter how big you make your eco-friendly city. It can be big or small, but I decided to go big. Okay, so I used a pizza box as the base, and then as you can see, you can kind of see my drawing of my city has come to life. Okay, so I drew on the pizza box. I also used colored paper or white paper. Paper is recyclable material too, so if you have paper, you can do that. And then I drew on it after. So I laid down some paper with glue, and I did that. So I have my water in the middle. And as I slowly kept working and designing each element that was in my map, I added more details later. So if you're seeing like, wow, there's a lot of things there, it really took me some time, and I just added on to it very slowly. Sometimes when you get into the creative process, you'll start to come up with more ideas as you go, and it can be a lot of fun that way, okay? So what I did was, I'm going to try and show you the best I can here with my camera here at home. So we've got my water right here in the middle, and I did a little boat. I don't know if you can see, but I also added little fish. I'm really thinking about not just my own my own way of living. I'm thinking about the different animals and ecosystems that are also part of my city. This is the park I built. I made sure I put little benches and trees to show that that's how I would like the people of my city to enjoy it, okay? If you look closely, I did a little cutout of a bike, and this is the bike lane, and this is where everybody rides their bikes to get to each different place. Over here are my eco-friendly homes, okay? And they're really a lot of fun. I made them from egg cartons. So I cut up an egg carton, and each of them became my little home, okay? All of my homes are small. They're not too big. They're all based off basically what do we just need. Nothing too much more or too much less. So each small home, here I'll bring it closer, has their own garden. It has a rooftop garden. and also has a windmill to produce energy. And each one has it, okay? And I thought that would be the best way to do that. I have a playground. I think that playgrounds are really good for exercise and enjoyment. Along with the park, we can run or walk around here, okay? And then also over here, I have my farm. I have my little cows to show that that's where the animals get to run free range, okay? I also have my community grocery store garden, my bike lot, which also has rooftop gardens on top. I'm trying to think how we can use the space for multiple purposes. And then back here, I had a lot of fun with this building. I decided to have a health and wellness building where we can go to learn about our health and how we can continue to think about the ways that we can benefit ourselves and our environment, and thinking about wellness. So it's kind of like a hospital, which is something that we all need, but also for different ways of learning about how to think about what our basic needs are and why those things are important. And so I built that here. I added a large windmill. I have a rooftop garden. I love rooftop gardens. And I also did a little cutout of bumblebees here and a flower, just to show that as a symbol to say my rooftop garden is here to provide different nutrients and things, not just for myself, but for the natural environment and for species like bumblebees who are actually close to being extinct. And we don't want that. We need bumblebees. They're very, very important. So I thought I would use that as a symbol here. This is a seating area with a solar panel roof. And I just have fun decorating my building. I like sun and I like pink, so I decided to draw and create a fun designed building. I'm an artist, so I love to paint. If it were up to me, my city would be full of beautiful buildings, painted bright, beautiful colors with pictures on the sides. And I would get other artists to paint beautiful paintings on all the buildings. It would be a lot of fun to live in my city, I think, anyways. So really, really be imaginative, have fun, think of ideas that maybe nobody has thought of before, and really put that into your city. I want you to really think about that. Whatever feeling you feel in a place where you feel really safe and happy, and a place that gives you all the things you need, like good food, a place to feel nice like a park. Try to transfer that kind of energy you're feeling into your city. We can do that. It's a really nice thing to be able to think about how we can create our space around us and think about how it's not just for us and that we're sharing it with the world and the environment and other things that also live in it. It's really important, okay? So I want you to have fun. Sky's the limit. Be colorful, be playful, and remember to include those three things, okay? What can benefit us, what can benefit our wellness, and our environment, okay? So thank you for being here with me today. I hope you have a lot of fun building your eco city, and I'll see you next time. Bye.